So as my camera just automatically started by itself. All I did was do this. But yeah, y'all. So as y'all see, if y'all see by the title, then y'all already know what we're gonna be talking about. And but yeah, we're gonna be basically doing a story time on how I started doing, nails and like what actually gave me the push. I always liked nails, but what actually gave me the push and stuff like that actually jumped for to start doing nails myself. So without further ado, like, comment, and subscribe to this video, especially if you like nails, stuff like that. Also just, loaded a video not too long ago of me putting these nails onto these press-ons, by the way. But yeah, you guys, so yeah, it's story time. So I have, if you guys don't know, but if you guys follow me, then y'all probably heard me say it a couple times. My mom is, usually, especially when we, used to go to the nail salon and stuff like that, is my nail partner. Hold on, y'all. So yeah, my mom is my nail partner, y'all. So, she usually is the one that go to the nail salon with me and stuff like that when we did go to the nail salon. I haven't been to the nail salon though in about, I started my, I want to say, I don't know, it's been probably like maybe, excuse me, to get some nails done, actually get my nails done or feet done or something, or even feet done in about, I want to say about 4 or 5 years, y'all. It's been a minute, it kind of blended, I don't even remember, but it's been about 4 or 5 years. And I just been pretty much wearing press-ons ever since. So every nail set y'all seen has been press-ons and stuff like that. When I cut my hair and stuff like that, that was press-ons too. Cause I got questions like, oh, y'all know I do press-ons. So these, I did not make these though. I don't take credit for other people's work. These are very cute to me, by the way, but I didn't make these. I got these off Shein. So, but yeah, I didn't feel like doing my nails, so I already had these for about a month, and I was like, looking at them, they look kind of big. The mouth part just look big to me, but they are cute, but they look big. So yeah, y'all, back into the story. So I used to go get my nails done a lot. My mom was my nail buddy and stuff like that, and especially when I used to live closer to a nail salon, like right now where I live, it's not a nail salon really close. And we used to go to like the the Chinese restaurant, the nail salons, stuff like that. So not to be, it's not, but that's what we call them. So and what am I trying to say? We didn't switch up. We always went pretty much to the same person. So she, she dealt with a lot of people. A lot of people come to her too. But I don't know, maybe this particular day she was probably tired and stuff like that. So I know me, if a client asks me to make press-ons a certain way, if I make them, I make them, stuff like that. So if they reach out to me and they see something on my website, or something like that, like, hey, can you make this, but make it in a size? I'm gonna either let them know right then, like, hey, I don't have it, I can't do it in that size, or let them know about the no. But I'm not gonna just flat out say no, I'm not doing it. It's not a, I'm not doing it. It's a a certain way to say it. Like, but you figure you going to a nail salon, and I'm not asking for nothing difficult. This was before all these type of nails was coming out, or the 3D nails or anything like that was even really prominent. I was doing them. Oh, did I spill glue? Oh no. I think there's a little bit of nail glue got on this couch. I couldn't really see though, but yeah, you guys. So yeah, I wouldn't do that. I would mostly if they see my work, and usually in my nail posts I let you know, especially if I'm creating something, if I'm doing like a wholesale order, if I'm creating something that can be customized, I'm gonna let you know that I don't replicate, and a lot of this, I don't replicate other people's work. And I don't do free, if it's a freestyle, it's freestyle, meaning like I styled and stuff like that. I don't do characters and all that stuff like that. I don't do online work, basically. I'm not, the drawing and stuff like that, unless it's something that I made specifically, because more likely mine is one of a kind, unless it's something that I had personalized with rhinestones, or it just depends. If it's something that can be multiple or made of multiples, you'll see it in there. y'all were more than welcome to check out my website for my nail work and stuff like that if you're new. But otherwise, at the nail salons, like I said, I wanted all rhinestones or something like that. I think, yeah, I believe it was something like that because at this time, I'm extra and stuff like that, and my nails they was gonna be about this length. I think they was gonna be about this length, and I was taking a break from. I think I was taking a break. I think I was either doing agency or something like that, to where I wasn't working all the time, or I can make my own schedule or something like that. Home health day, it was something like that, y'all. So so yeah, I don't know what was going on with her that day. Usually, I ain't gonna say the lady name out there either, but it started with a J, so we just gonna say Julie, but her name started with a J. So this day, I'm like, Julie, I'm like, can you I want rhinestones stuff. She had already did my mom nails, I think, and she was about to do my nails and stuff like that. So I guess she was tired, but um I'd rather her had told me that before she started my nails or whatever, because I had already been telling her pretty much in the beginning how I wanted my nails. When she already styled them. She know I like them long. She know I like, all this stuff. But she wanted to do colors and like, oh, why can't we just do rhinestones at the tip, or rhinestone on just one nail and stuff like that? No. She know how me and my mom are. When we adamant about something, we adamant about something. She used to do my eyebrows too and everything before, but she know how we was about that too. My eyebrows used to be a little thicker when I was younger, but mind you, I actually used to have they used to connect in the middle a little bit, not really thick, but they was noticeable. So she used to be the one to do my eyebrows and stuff like that, and she did a good job with them and stuff. I never let her do my lashes. I always pretty much stuck to strips, or I just learned to do the clusters and stuff like a couple years ago myself. So I would do that, but I mostly always wore strips, and I still mostly wear strips when I do my lashes. It's just easier, and then when they'll stay for me for about like 2 or 3 days, sometimes longer, and that's good for me. That give me enough time, that way I can just, take them off and, let my eyes breathe and everything. So, I'm telling her, I'm like, yeah, I really want all rhinestones though, like I was waiting just like everybody else and stuff, and a lot of people wanted to go to her too. So I don't know if she was also just trying to get the money or whatever and stuff like that too, but she was starting to make me mad. So the more she doing my nails, I'm kind of not even wanting my nails done no more, because it's not going to come out how I want it. And usually I would give her a tip and everything too, but I already had in my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm not giving her a tip, and I'm not getting my feet done now, because I was going to get my feet done too. But I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting none of that extra, because that's how I am. That's, hey, you're not doing this or whatever, so now you're not getting a tip, you're not getting any of the extra and stuff like that. So, long story short is, yeah, she did the nails, and yeah, it was a cute design and stuff like that, or whatever shape and all that stuff was cute, but it wasn't what I wanted. I wanted all rhinestones and stuff. I wasn't really dabbling into doing my own nails or press-ons or anything like that, but it pushed me to, like, hey, I'm gonna start trying to do my own nails and stuff like that, which, I learned how, I taught myself, and I actually practiced with acrylic and all that stuff first. Was doing them before I did press-ons and stuff. I was doing acrylic. Then I would make like, some press-ons and stuff. And I even had a little like nail on wheel kind of business and stuff. It was called like Dommy's Nails on Wheels. So I would go to people's house and stuff like that. And I was like the only one doing that around the time where I live. Around that time where I live, mind you. So I would charge them like $5 depending on where they lived. If they lived in the city or whatever, that was $5 for the gas and stuff like that. And then, do your nails or whatever. They choice if they wanted to tip me or not. Which, probably was dangerous. That was before I didn't know about Cash App or anything like that. So I wasn't doing, we wasn't doing Cash App. It was straight cash. Then I had my faithful client. I mentioned her before a couple times. She was good friends. She knew, my mom and stuff like that. So she was like a, you know, I won't say a family friend, but we knew her. And may she rest in peace. She passed away now, but she used to let me do the crazy nails on her and stuff like that. I think she was from Florida or something like that, so she loved the colors. She loved the spiral nail and stuff when that was around and stuff. She loved, like, you know, the crazy nails and stuff like that. She'll get the bling rhinestone nails, so I used to like to look forward to doing her nails. And I used to cut her a deal and stuff just because sometimes she'll switch her nails up twice in 1 week. She'll call me like, hey, you know, and she used to be, you know, like, she'll be like, oh, I broke my spiral nail and stuff, you know, like doing some crazy stuff that she probably shouldn't have been doing or whatever. But she'd be like, no, yeah, it was me. It was me that broke it, you know, stuff like that, because they used to be sturdy. And she, like I said, used to call me like sometimes twice a week. So she was my faithful client and stuff that I know I could rely on her to get her nails done and stuff, especially if I just needed that extra change or whatever. And then I think I started doing more in the healthcare field. I think I started dabbling more back into that. Well, I was doing home health, and yes, I was doing that at the time, y'all. I took a break from the nursing home because I knew I was in the healthcare field, but I took a break from the nursing home at that time, and I was doing home health day, going to people's houses just before COVID and all that stuff too. And I was going into like the communities, like the independent living facilities and stuff like that, assisted living. So to me that was lovely, but you know, that was before not this car, obviously, a couple cars ago. That was before that car went down. So it was easy, lovely. I'm just caking. I'm, you know, doing doubles pretty much. So I could see why now, but that was before we had before we had our daughter, obviously. So I see now, you know, now it's my husband's turn pretty much to do that, to work. But I just was such a workaholic. Like, you know, I had my own little small business in the middle. I'm wearing my nails, and that, you know, the facility wasn't saying nothing. I'm doing her, you know, I just, yeah, y'all, like, that was the days before, like I said, you know. And them was acrylic nails. And yeah, them wasn't press-ons and stuff like that. When I was doing that, I was doing acrylic. So yes, I'm having some more coffee, y'all. But yeah, y'all, that was pretty much the story. So the next time, I think it was like maybe a month later or so, back into what we was talking about. I think my mom was going to get her nails done over and stuff like that. So my nails always good, especially with the healthcare field. You figure we gotta wash our hands all the time. You know, you want to wash your hands anyways, but extra obviously you dealing with germs, you dealing with, you know, illnesses and stuff like that. So she, you know, like, you know, I think I took my nails off by then. You know, at that point they, you know, pretty much my mom nails always last a little longer anyways, probably because, like I said, she wasn't working in the healthcare field. And so I could have gotten my nails done over, but I choose not to at this point. Like I said, I was pretty much dabbling and practicing, and doing, you know, I had started doing my own nails. You know, I started doing my own thing. No, actually, probably was a couple months later. I didn't go with her, or I haven't went with her. So yeah, I think it was a couple months actually, y'all. Yeah, and I think my mom was still going, because, you know, my mom always liked more simple nails. She wasn't as extra with me, like, you know, she ain't wearing this, of course, she, you know, I don't even know, like, you know, obviously she older, so she not wearing this. This wasn't her style. I wasn't wearing this either, but I'm saying, like, the extra, all rhinestones and stuff, because, you know, that just wasn't her. She might do one rhinestone accent finger, and she wasn't wearing them long and stuff like that, you know, so, yeah, so basically when I did go back with her, to like, I went with my mom just to get, you know, her nails done this time, is what I was saying. I had already been practicing, because she had pretty much like threw me off with that. You know, once she didn't want to do my rhinestone nails, I pretty much stopped messing with her with that. And every time she would try to get me, oh, come back, you know, stuff like that. But I wasn't messing with her no more, like I said, you know, because, you know, I wanted what I want, and I figure I'm paying you the money, and, you know, you could either told me to hold on, you know, let me do this person, because sometimes she'll be like, hey, you know, this person only want this, you know, I would have waited the extra time. We already waited. It was the fact that, you know, I wanted this, and she ain't do it. So I'm like, okay, cool, you know, say less. And I just, like I said, started practicing doing the nails myself. So that's how that went, y'all. Then, from then on, I would practice, post on Facebook and stuff like that, my little nail sets and stuff like that. And I had my little nail on Will's business and stuff like that. You share on the marketplace and stuff like that. So I had, built a few little clients where I was. Um, some, I ain't have, like I said, I had that one faithful though that would stay. The rest was just like, hey, I seen your, this. And then me and my mom, we had like a little nail slash hair business thing going on. She kind of came out of retirement for a little bit with the hair and was doing it, and stuff like that. So, that was pretty cool too. And then I was doing the nails. Like, I knew I would do braids and stuff like that, but that always was tedious unless I was doing my own hair. It was more of a, okay, I'll do the nails kind of thing and stuff like that. So I did the nails or whatever, and I did them cute. You figure, I was just starting out, so I wasn't licensed or anything like that, and just, and they knew what it was, and stuff like that too. So for coming to somebody's house, I didn't have an establishment. So that's pretty much how that went, y'all. But yeah, she like flat out told me like, no, I don't want, like, not I don't want, but like, oh, or I don't know, I don't even know if she said it was gonna take that it was gonna take too long or something. But she's just like, no, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? And to me, that's, you basically is saying no. Like, you might as well said it's gonna take too long. But yeah, you guys, so now I'll do my own thing where I wear press-ons. But alright, you guys, I hope that wasn't too overthrown and stuff like that. I tried to get to the point, but yeah, that was a couple years ago, so I had to really think about, like, giving y'all the details and stuff, really think about it. But yeah, y'all, that's pretty much the story time on why I stopped going to nail salons, and pretty much why I started my own little thing. Alright, you guys, like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.